I'm Bronwyn Bulwer and I'm talking to Geoff Alley about his journey with IT Heavy Hitters. Thanks, Geoff, for coming to talk to us.
Well, thank you guys.
I'd love to know, when was the moment that you decided to take part in the fight? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it quite clearly. So my daughter and son-in-law are both kickboxers, and they live in New Plymouth, and I'd been down to watch a couple of their fights and been really engrossed in how it sort of changed them physically and mentally, and you know, how well run the fight nights were, and on one particular card there was an older bloke in there, and I think I said to my daughter that I think I could do that, and yeah, part of me was like, yeah, nah, but then she sent me through the link, and I opened it up, and I thought, wow, here's a pretty good opportunity, because something that I'd always wanted to do, maybe a chance to tick something off my bucket list, and it was all purely personal reasons. Then it was, you know, jumping in a boxing ring and mentally and physically challenging myself, and so I filled the application out, but it took me probably another hour or two to actually hit the send button. So there was a lot of things going through my head. The biggest thing was, you know, I'd be 52 when I jumped in the ring. Can I handle it? 14 weeks of, you know, 3 mornings a week, 6 a.m. starts. Can I get back to my clinic in time for my patients? And you know, can I commit to that with the family, etc. So there's a lot of things going through my head, but I'm just so glad now that I hit the send button. So you know, it was such a cool moment.
And what did it mean to you to get in the ring?
To get in the ring meant so much. There's so much going through my head at that time. You really, it's hard to put it into words, because you know, the journey from when we first met in January to when we jumped in the ring was huge. So, as I said, initially it was all personal, and you know, you turn up to that first boxing session, and you're just a complete bunch of strangers, and you're all pretty quiet. You really don't know what you're getting into. But then the journey began around understanding what we were fighting for, and that's when it really hit home, when we understood what the charity was all about, and we all had a sense of purpose then. It was like, as I said, it started out being a real personal challenge, but then it became so much more, and then when you start to get to know your teammates, so you go on a journey of 14 weeks, so by the time you jump in the ring, you know, I'd said to all my teammates that I was prepared to die on the ring. I said there's no way I was going to get out of that ring without a loss, and that's sort of the feeling I think we all had. We all really wanted to do it for each other. We had created such a good team bond that you know, we were stronger because of it, even though it's an individual sport. We'd created such a team culture and such a strength there that we all wanted to go on and do well for each other. So and getting in the ring was just amazing, and just the best thing I've ever done, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There was something really special about the blue team, and a lot of the fighters have mentioned you as like a leader in galvanizing the team together and encouraging everyone to open up by example. How did you find your journey with them as a complete group of strangers?
Yeah, I guess I've been a rugby player and a rugby coach most of my life, and I've been really thankful for what I've been able to achieve, I guess, in that regard. So the rugby coach came out of me quite often, and with rugby teams I always want to try and create a culture, because it is, if you want to play for your teammates, you really want to put your body on the line. And it's such a physical sport like rugby, you can't have someone who isn't part of that, because that's your weak link, and you can't have a weak link. And so, see, I could sense that we were all really apprehensive about it, and myself included, and we, you know, there's that sense of unknown, and so I was trying to just encourage, and just not necessarily being a leader, but just, I guess, just stepping up and being a voice, and trying to relay some of my experiences as well, and saying that, hey, look, it's okay to be really nervous, it's okay to be have self-doubt, it's okay to wonder what if, because it's all part of it, it's normal, and I think we grow from that. And so we had a coach that was just a real quiet achiever. So Brad was just so knowledgeable, but it seemed he only had one emotion, and that was focus. And he just wanted us to do well, and he was, with all my rugby coaches, he would stand out as being one of the best coaches I've ever been associated with. And so it was his demeanour and his calmness that really got all of us through as well. And there was a moment, I think, a real turning point in our journey when Brad was unable to be with us on fight night. And it was really a business decision, I think, by City Kickboxing in Eugene to get Brad to go to the title fight with Alex. And they're best mates, and you know, Brad really struggled with it. He knew that he probably should be with Alex, but he wanted to be with us. He was torn. So when he showed that emotion to us on that morning, and he shed a couple of tears, it made us realise that he was really invested in us. And so that was a pretty cool morning. And I think from there, Brad had said, just let everyone know how you feel. Because I could sense too that some people were still a bit bottled up around what they were going through, etc. And so I sort of put it out there, my experiences of what I'd been through and how I'd come to be where I am and why I wanted to do it. And I was really honest, and you know, I'd shown it to my wife. No one else knows my story. And I think once everybody else read that, it gave them some real confidence to actually just let the guards down and let it all out. And it was a real wow moment, you know, that those next 24, 48 hours when you read everybody's stories and why they're there. And so that, you can't help but be galvanised by that as a team. You can't help but want to do well. You can't help but just want to succeed when you hear stories like that and you understand what everybody's going through. And not just them, it's people on the outside, you know. We started this journey and on March the 1st, so we're only 3 weeks into training. And there was a young North Harbour rugby player who took his own life. He was only 23. And he had played for the Super Rugby team, the Blues, the year before. He had a young family, and you know, so when you see something like that, and then the media describe it as a sudden death, and just sweeping it under the carpet, and I knew that it was a suicide, and so it made me think again. You know, what's going on here? You know, number one, why are we pushing these things aside? Why are we not addressing it head on? And why did he do it? Could he have been helped? Did he feel that helpless? And you know, we hear these stories all the time, and so when something like that happened early on in our camp, that really brought home to us again why we were doing it. And it, as I said, it just gave us a real sense of purpose as to what we were doing. So it moved beyond the personal to something a lot more, a lot deeper.
I agree with you about bringing in the conversation out and actually talking about it and calling it what it is. And the more we do that, it seems so many men really struggle to do that. They are worried that they're going to look weak or they're going to be judged. And what would, in your experience, like however much you're comfortable to share, how have you found talking about your experiences? Has it helped you?
Yeah, in this journey it has. It's the only time I have, and only because I felt comfortable in the environment with all my teammates. And I shared it with my wife, and she didn't know a lot of the story as well. So it's not a sad story or you know, a self-pity party or anything like that. Mine was more around the fact that I was beating myself up around not being the best that I could have been as a young person, and letting a rugby career slip by. And I became what I term the only if man. So I always think, only if I'd done this, only if I'd done that. And so that's what drives me as a rugby coach, is that I don't want these young men to be the only if man. I want them to grab the opportunity and to grasp it and really be the best that they can be. Because I went through that. I was a young fella. I was captain of New Zealand under-17s. I was supposedly in the media the most talked about young rugby player in the South Waikato. So I was a big fish in a small pond, and I really didn't want to be that. I just wanted to be one of the boys.
Okay.
And I felt that I was being, people were probably judging me because of what I had achieved on the rugby field, and I didn't want that. People were labelling me, and I didn't like it. Again, so I sort of rebelled a little bit around that, and then when I finally sort of got back on track again, and I made the Sevens team for New Zealand, I then got injured, and I was 25, and I was told I'd never play rugby again.
Wow.
And so there's a big part of me that thinks that, you know, the old what if, only if. So this journey, as I said, was an opportunity for me to get something, or to finish what I didn't finish when I was a rugby player, and to really physically and mentally challenge myself, but also, as I say, to be a role model to my kids, and I've got 2 grandchildren as well, you know, and so that maybe they can say, hey, Papa fought in a boxing match when he was 52.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty awesome, eh?
Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons, but generally, just as I said, the best journey I've ever been on. It was just so good.
Yeah. You've obviously been through a lot of challenges in your sporting career, and I wonder, your journey with ITE Heavy Hitters, was there ever a moment that it got really hard and you wanted to give up, or is that just not an option? No,
for me that wasn't an option. There was a moment there when the fights were announced, and I heard that PJ, my opponent, had had a fight the year before and he had fight experience. Then I realised that he was 11 years younger, and then I saw that he was 193 centimetres, which is about 6'3". I thought, oh man, what have I done? And you know, a lot of my mates and a lot of my family said, well, that's not a very fair matchup, you know, and they were serious, and that put a little bit of self-doubt in me, but you know, I guess it just galvanised me a bit more to train a bit harder and to be more focused, don't miss trainings, listen to everything Brad's saying. And to, you know, it was just a bit more of a challenge for me, but that was the only time. There's times when there's a window we got on the gym there that is always open in the morning, and I'm thankful for that, because I was hanging out that window quite a few times thinking, man, my fitness levels aren't the best, but I'd got myself into the best physical shape I could possibly get into, and going into the fight I was pretty confident.
Yeah. And was there anything that surprised you, or that you learnt about yourself that you didn't know before? Yeah,
there was. I thought with, you know, playing some top level footy and being involved in some big rugby games, that I could handle the occasion. I didn't think I'd be under any stress or awe or anything. I just thought I'd enjoy the occasion, but when you're out the back and you know, and then your fight song comes on and you walk out, it's just completely different. Everything went out the window, and I don't remember too much about the fight. I do know that I went into a sort of a brawl mode rather than a really boxing skill mode, and I was really disappointed in myself with that. But so what did I learn about myself was that yeah, whatever situation you get put in, it's always going to be a new one. So you never really prepare for anything like walking out into a boxing ring.
Yeah. And being a dad, and you say a grandpa too, because I'm a mum too, and I'm very aware of, you know, a lot of kids hide their emotions and are afraid to talk to their parents or their family about how they're feeling. What would you say to them, because you're a little bit further along the road in life?
Yeah. Try and keep engaged, have your family time, and try and involve your children as much as you can when they're young. You know, my teenagers, we still engage them, we still have a lot of laughs, you know, my wife's insistent on eating dinner together, little things like that. And you're always going to lose them to their friends and their devices, and you've obviously just got to accept that, but so long as you can pull them back in and make sure that they're still a part of your family and you're always engaging. You know, I always go down the hallway, knock on the doors and open the doors, hey, how's your day, you know, and first thing I do when I come home is go and say hello to them. Always give them cuddles, always give them hugs. You know, my children know that I'm a big hugger, and there's no way in the world that they go through a day without me giving them a big hug. But yeah, I mean, you know, being a teenager ourselves, I guess we sort of know that what we always wanted to do was just hang out with our friends and a bit of alone time. But knowing, I think I always knew that I had loving parents, and that was a big thing for me that stopped me going right off the rails as a young fella. I always knew that mum and dad were there, so you know, I just need to, or I'm letting my children know that their mum and dad are there all the time, for anything at any time. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. Did they come and watch you on the night?
Well, it's an under 18, R18,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah, so my two oldest daughters did. Samantha, who's given me two beautiful grandchildren, she was there with her husband. They came up from New Plymouth, and my 20-year-old Grace was there, and she had the best night, she reckons. It was so cool.
Oh, wow.
So she was there, my wife was there. There's a good photo of my wife like this during the fight, you know, just, oh my God, you know, I'm getting hit.
Yeah.
But they came along, and so my two youngest, you know, they wanted to be kept updated, etc. So they were kept updated with the result and what have you as well. So I think they're all pretty proud of Dad.
I
So
reckon.
yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah. And what was your fight song? Did it have a special meaning to you?
It did. It was. It goes back to that whole saying about don't be the only if man, and be the best you can be. So this was Eminem's Lose Yourself. He talks about if you had one shot, one opportunity to capture everything you ever wanted, would you? And so that was something that motivated me, but it was also the song we had for our North Harbour Sevens team when we won the national championship. And our whole motto then was one shot, because I always talk about you can't play the game again the next day. You get one shot at this game. If you don't mentally prepare or physically prepare and you get it wrong and you get beaten, you can't play again the next day. Okay, so you get one shot at it. And there was something that I'd tried to work on personally as well, but something I projected to our teammates, and I'd talked to them about that as well. And one of the things we talked about in the journey was, you know, you get one shot at it, and so we all wanted to be the best we can be on fight night. We can't sort of have that fight and think, oh bugger, I didn't quite get it right. Oh, let's do it again next week. Can't do it, you know. So that, and the funny thing is that when I walked out to my fight, the DJ didn't start it from the beginning. So I walked out to his palms are sweaty, there's vomit on his sweater already, and I remember looking back at the DJ going, dude, you got it wrong. So I'm walking out, and in my head I'm thinking, oh damn, I didn't get my, but no, that was just a little thing. But yeah, no, everything else was perfect.
Yeah,
it was great.
I remember you coming out to that. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was a good moment.
Yeah, it was cool, really cool.
Yeah. I'd love to know, what do you say to yourself when you have those if only moments?
Yeah, like, what do you mean? Like
when you look back, when you find yourself in that headspace and you're looking back and like, oh, if only I'd done this, and you know, if there's that regret or a sense of I should have or I wasn't good enough. Yeah. Have you found something that helps you in that moment?
No, no, I haven't. And as I said, it was something that I deal with every day, really. And so I guess it motivates me to be a better person every day, because I feel as though I promised so much but delivered so little as a young rugby player. You know, you got to remember that I grew up in a small town. I was captain of the first 15. I was captain of Waikato age group teams. I was captain of North Island under 16s. I was selected to captain the New Zealand under 17s, and I broke my leg, so I couldn't play. And so the media, the media all the time was, you know, Geoff Alley's this. As I said, there's a journalist that said that I was the most talked about rugby player in the district. And so there was a lot of that pressure as a young fellow, which I didn't really see it as pressure then, but what I saw it as was I rebelled against it rather than embraced it. Okay, and that's something that I really regret. And then, you know, when I sort of left a small town, Tokoroa, and moved to Hamilton, I played for Waikato, then I played for North Harbour. And I look back, and I guess from the outside in, I was quite successful as a rugby player, but I could have been much more. That's the way I look at it, was that I didn't capitalise on what I probably should have as a young fella. And then by the time I did play for New Zealand, I got an injury that I was told I couldn't play again. And so there's all those regrets. I always look back and think, man, what if I was projected back in time to when I was 18 again? What could I be? What could I do? And so there is that. And I don't know, I really don't know how to deal with it. I just have to look forward and just try and be the best I can be from this day on. And as I said, this boxing journey has been great for me, because it's been quite a cathartic experience around, for me, but for everybody else, but to get in that ring and to do something that I'd always wanted to do, but it was a huge challenge, and to be able to get in there and to actually win my fight as well was just like, oh man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. Sweet. I imagine also boxing is so about the moment, and it's not about looking back or looking forward, because you've got a guy in front of you and he could hit you, and you know it's going to hurt, and you at the same time trying to think how to be a good fighter yourself. So it's so in the moment where there's no space for looking back or looking forward.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I'm good at getting myself into, you know, I've had to do public speaking before, or there's a lot of big, let's say, games or things that, and so I'm quite good at being in the moment and motivating myself. I do think I probably got myself into a bit of a frenzy on fight night. It was just a bit too much of the occasion, and I remember looking up in the first round and the ring announcer says 1 minute, and I'm like, you know, I was just so gassed, and I look up and I see PJ still standing, and I'm thinking, this isn't part of the plan. You know, I'd planned to have a referee stoppage or something, and that tough bugger's still standing there looking at me, so I had to go to plan B, and I didn't have a plan B. So then you've got to think on your feet, and it just became a war of attrition, really, trying to survive the 3 rounds.
And just find something inside.
Find something inside. Yeah, well, I had a huge support crew with me. You know, there were all my friends and family were there. So as I said before, you know, there's no way I was going to lose that. I don't know what it took. I wasn't going to lose it. It was pretty cool. It was awesome.
Just to end off, is there anything you would say to any men watching this who are struggling with their own issues and are afraid to open up?
I'm no counsellor, but you can easily find me. Put a Google in, Geoff Alley. I'll take your phone call, I'll take your email. Talk to me if you can't talk to anyone. But I think it's really important that you talk to someone. You know, I think we're educated enough in today's age that we would never say harden up anymore, or grow up, or you know, don't be a girl, or you know, harden up. I don't think we'd say that. I don't think anybody would say that. So don't ever think like that. I mean, it's if it's a struggle, just call someone, talk to someone, because it's just not right. The numbers aren't right, and something's got to be done about it. And throwing a lot of money at it might be good, but it's got to be in the right places, and it's got to be the right people. It's got to, you know. But look, if there is anybody struggling, as I said, give me a call. I don't mind, man. I'd take your call. I'd take a phone call. I'd take an email, whatever. I'd never ever turn anyone away. But get to the right people, ring the right people, talk to the right people if you can. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Reach out.
Thank you so much. It's been really good talking to you, and how you keep it real, like you haven't got it all figured out and you're not afraid to say it, and you're figuring it out as you go, and that's really inspirational. So thanks for sharing your story.
Never stop learning, eh?
No.
Awesome.
That's what it's all about. And thanks to the team and everyone who made today possible.